Hi, welcome to the H4RL Teen Podcast. I'm Jill.
I'm Dave.
And we're here to help you plan a great future.
So today we're going to talk about how do I pick the right major? All right, so we understand this is a big stressor. This is one of the biggest questions you're probably facing right now. You're like, what should I do, right? Well, before we get into the right way to pick a major, let's talk about how most people generally pick a major nowadays. The first thing that people typically do is go off and try to figure out what college they should go to. And we get it. College is a fun time of your life. It's a great time of your life. And some people want to go to like a really small university. Some want to go to like a big university. Some people want to go to one that has a great sporting or active, student activities, all kinds of great things. So going to certain parts of the country. We get it. It's a fun time.
It's really exciting. Think about that and plan the next phase of your life. Parents and teens get excited. And that's great.
Yes, it is. And there's absolutely a way to pick a college and a process to do that. And we'll probably talk about that eventually, but that will come later. But they first go off and pick a college, right? They go off and visit different colleges, get a feel for it, and try to figure out which one would suit them best with all the needs that they have. Then they typically sit down with a guidance counselor at a university. If they're lucky, they get to sit down and tell them kind of what they're thinking, kind of what their interests are and who they are. And then the guidance counselor looks at all the different majors that college has to offer, and they pick one of those, right? And then that's kind of what they start to go down that road, as long as they get accepted into that university.
Sounds good. You've got your college, you've got your direction, all set.
Right. So we're done, right? Well, not quite. Or actually, worse yet, as my wife did, she went to a very large university, and they basically just had a bunch of pamphlets up on like a little turnstile of all the different majors they offered. And her dad just kind of went through, started picking them out.
Yeah, it was great. We just turned the little thing, picked futures out.
Picked them out and just figured out, let's do that. That is absolutely the wrong way to do it, by the way. There are so many more steps that are involved with picking the right major than just picking out a pamphlet out of a turnstile. All right, so same way, like just trying to watch videos online and just trying to pick a career just by watching a 5-minute video. Because trust me, there's a lot more to that career than you're going to ever learn in a 5-minute video.
It's a good start. Good way to explore.
Yes, but it's not the right way to.
Probably not the best way to pick your entire future.
Matter of fact, we actually know this awesome student who basically went off to a nice university, a nice small university that does a lot of great things. She sat down and did exactly this with the guidance counselor, and she kind of told him, like, yeah, I like to do math. I'm strong in math. I actually like to do a lot of filing. I like to do a lot of organization and strength of mind. And then they kind of went through their majors and looked at them and found, well, we have business. Business might be a good fit for you. And she's like, okay, I'll do business. Okay. So, but the problem is, after she talked to us, after I heard her say these things, I'm like, you should be an accountant. I'm thinking to myself, what you just described to me is basically an accountant to perfectly. That'd be great for an accountant. You'd be awesome at being an accountant. And she'd enjoy it.
Why didn't they offer that?
Well, because the college didn't have an accounting degree. They had a business degree. Now, can you do accounting from business? Yeah, it's kind of hard. You got to take some extra classes and you got to do a different certification. It's not going to be exactly the same thing as getting an accounting degree, for sure. And could you be an accountant and do business? Sure. Again, the same type of thing. Mm-hmm. So probably what's going to happen to her, we don't know for sure, but she's probably going to go down this path, and she might graduate with a business degree and then realize, it's not really fit me as well, or she might struggle in it a little bit more than she would like.
Right. Just given what we know about her personality and what she really enjoys, most likely she's going to struggle to succeed as much as she would like to. She's not really going to find it very satisfying, and she's going to start looking for, well, what steps can I take to find something I like better? And it's not that she can't fix it, but it's going to be some delays. It might be additional debt and some disappointment and uncertainty in there in the meantime.
She might even go back and start to say, halfway through her college degree, realize, I don't want to do business, and I want to do, maybe hopefully she'll find out accounting, and then she might just switch, she'll have to switch colleges at that point because they don't offer an accounting degree.
Right.
So that
can be disappointing because you're leaving your friends, you're leaving what's familiar, and hopefully your classes transfer.
Right. So all this is basically how people typically do it. Not everybody's like her, but 80% of students are actually like her because 80% of students actually change the major. Mm-hmm. And actually 61% of people who already graduated working in the jobs wish they would have picked a different major. So how do you pick the right one? All right? The way you do it, honestly, you flip all that around. You actually start first and figure out what you want to do in life. You don't pick your major and then once you graduate, figure out what you can do with that major. That is
Think
not...
about it. You're in college for hopefully only 4 years, right? If you're only doing a bachelor's degree. As we've talked about other times, and you'll hear us say again, most people don't finish that in 4 years, but hopefully only 4 years. Then you're going to be doing your career for most of the rest of your life. Which one of those seems more important?
Right. So don't just pick a major and think I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it later on. Let's take a step back and figure out what you want to do down the road. Now you say would be great, Dave. I wish I knew what I wanted to do down the road because this would make it all so much easier. You're right. There's a lot of steps to figure out what you want to do down the road. First, you got to kind of figure out who you are, which is complicated, kind of hard. You got to figure out who you are, what you're good at, what your strengths are, kind of what your interests are, and then kind of figure out what your dreams are because we all have a picture of what we want our future to be. All right. We all have something, we kind of know what we want, have an idea what we want our future to look like. So you got to kind of marry what you're good at with kind of what your future directions are, and then you kind of find a career that kind of makes all that kind of come together for you, and hopefully pick one that isn't going to be obsolete in 10 years, because that actually happens too. So the first thing is, we have a whole process on how we can help you with that, but the first thing is to pick where you want to be. Pick where you want to be in the future, right? Then work backwards. Then you start to look at, okay, how do I get there? I kind of know now, after some work, right? It's not going to be straightforward. It's not going to be just pick something off of the internet. After a little bit of work, you figure out where you want to be. Then you figure out how to get there. How's the roadmap to get there, right? And sometimes it's not college. There's actually quite a few good jobs out there that doesn't require college and that debt, right? And realize that. So that saves you a lot of money because a lot of people actually go off. I think like a third of people who go to college end up dropping out for different reasons, and they have that debt, but no degree to show for it. It'd be great to figure out what you want to do later on in life first, and avoid college if that's not really in the cards for you.
They may end up in a career that they love that doesn't require college, but now they've got some college debt they're having to pay off. And sometimes those jobs aren't really paying you with that in mind. Right,
exactly. So the next thing is how to get there. Is it college? Is it a vocational school? Is it trade school? Is it military training? Is it some other certificate program? There's lots of different options out there. Is it an apprenticeship even, You got to figure out what is the right way to get there. And then you figure out, okay, let's say it is college. Let's say it requires a 4-year degree like we're talking about here, right?
Or more.
Or more. What is the right major? Because guess what? There's lots of articles out there about different things. The major you think might lead to that job may not even be the right one.
That's
honestly.
True. Or the one that makes it easier to get a job.
Right. For example, I read an article a year or so ago about people going into business. Well, there's a lot of good things about the business degree, and you can do a lot of things with it. But actually, if you want to move up in executive, a lot of times they don't necessarily want that necessary business degree because that's too watered down. They want something more specific in a certain area. So you kind of have to have a more focused idea of like, what is the right major to get to where I want to get to? And it may not be what you think.
There are also certain skills that you need to develop sometimes for these careers. Mm-hmm. And so there may be other things, even aside from a major, that you need to think about, things that you need to develop to be really marketable in your field.
Like critical thinking skills, believe it or not, is one of the best ones. And written and be good. Teamwork, communication. We'll have a whole podcast about these type of things. But there's a lot of very special skills that you just have to develop over your life. It kind of helps you move up in the world a little bit. But so the first thing is to figure out where you want to go. Then figure out what's the right educational, what kind of training do I need to get there. Then figure out the right kind of majors, which it may not be the most obvious one that you think is the right one, by the way. What is the right major to go to, all right? Then you figure out what colleges offer that major, all right?
So, now we get to look at colleges.
Now you get to look at colleges and do all that fun stuff. Figure out, okay, here's the 4 or 5 colleges that offer the major I want to go to, and then I can get in with all my current scores and grades and stuff like that. Then you go off and do your visits and figure out all that good stuff, and now you already know what you want to do. And there's a whole thing about trying to find the right college that best fit for you.
Check out the dorms.
Yeah, look at how much it's going to cost you.
Your financial aid package. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All that fun stuff. But that is the right way to do it. First, let's step back and take a look at the career. Now, that's why we kind of developed the career exploration, because we understand that's really hard to do on your own. First off, most parents don't know how to help their kids with this. And honestly, if you're in a public school, a lot of career counselors are so busy that's not actually the main thing that they're trying to do. Guidance counselors in school, actually, they're usually to help a lot of students who have, need help, other needs, right? If it was my example, I went to a public school. I went down there and they said, for scholarships, just look through this giant book. And then I tried to talk to them about what I wanted to do. And they said, well, just start looking through this other book about majors, right? They really didn't have a whole lot of help for me. Now, I'm sure things are different nowadays, but
hopefully.
That's why we created our career course, by the way. Honestly, because we want to be able to make a way to help it make it more easier, more streamlined and focused so that you're not just wandering.
Yeah, we realized it's hard. It's hard to get started. It's hard to find the time to make it through that whole process when you're trying to figure it out and find effective resources. It just is so time consuming. Mm-hmm. And so having it all organized and laid out and you can just breeze right through, it's still going to take some time. Mm-hmm. It has to. You're figuring out the rest of your life. It's a big deal. But it's so much easier when you have it all laid out for you and some people sitting there ready to talk to you about your progress.
Let me ask you something. What is the most important class you probably could take for your future? It's really career exploration, because honestly, that's what all your education is pointing to in the first place. The reason why you get educated when you're younger in high school is so you can go off and get a job. Or now it's to go to college, if that's in your future. The point of a college education is to help you get educated to do the career you want to do. So really all this points to training you for your future career. All right. So really figuring out what that career is kind of makes everything else more pertinent and makes it more, relevant. So really, it's one of the most important things you can probably spend your time doing is trying to figure out what you want to do in your future.
It's why you're working hard in all those other classes.
Exactly. And this is, by the way, it's even more important like this taking algebra and math. And by the way, I'm an engineer. I totally am good at those things. And I think they're very important. But honestly, trying to figure out what you're going to do with it later on is probably the most important thing you can do. So we have these courses, a course that you can kind of work your way through at your own pace, on your own time. Ask us questions because we'll be in the forums, we'll be online. And also, then we have some online assessments to help you really figure out who you are. And then a database that allows you to take all these special things that you figured out through the course, like who you are as a unique person, and helps you map that to specific careers. That's what really makes it a great thing, is it helps you take all these different categories and helps you map it to exactly what you should be doing. So then, after all that, that's when we'll teach you about how to pick the right college, how to apply to college, and actually all the different methods out there that are available to you to pay for college, which is very important as well.
Right. So our career course is designed to help you figure out yourself, learn about careers, align those, find the right one, and then all those next steps too. We don't stop there. Mm-hmm. We know that college is important and figuring out those other skills that you need. So we're here to support you as you plan for your future. Did you talk about the lifestyle calculator?
No, I did not.
Yeah, we even have that. Dave did some pretty fancy math in the background that helps you figure out if these are your life choices and this is how you'd like to live, what salary are you going to need? And then you can kind of play with it and change those choices if that salary is not lining up with the jobs that interest you. So it's really informative to help you get a realistic look at, is this career going to provide for the kind of life I want to have? And then you can make adjustments on either side of that.
Now, I will say this. I actually went through and made it pretty realistic. Realistic numbers. And actually put in realistic, taxes and stuff like that. Because I found some other online calculators from other places. And, they don't at all take into consideration what they have to pay for taxes and other real-life stuff.
It's nice to forget the taxes, but not so helpful when you're trying to plan for a realistic future.
Absolutely. You need to know that because you will have to pay taxes when you start earning money. So I was I had to put that in there. And that's what made it kind of complicated. And I understand why they don't include those in some of these other calculators because it made the math more complicated. But I got it worked out.
Way to go, Dave.
Yeah.
So come join us. There's a free trial you can sign up for. So visit us at h4rl.com. That's the number 4. So h4rl.com. You can sign up for the free trial and get started right away.
Yes. Can't wait to see you guys in there.
Thanks.